Hey guys, just wanted to record this. It might go a little long. This is just going to be kind of an open conversation. It is Monday, November 10th, and wanted to keep our process going where we're building it in the open. I worked hard on this over the last couple days. Some of these ideas I've had for a long time, some of the URLs I've had for a long time. But we basically want to walk through some of the concepts I have for this, and I'm just going to kind of go through it. And I have no script, so this is really probably bad LinkedIn content, but someday will be good to at least document kind of the way we went with this. As you guys know, we recently opened open access in pre-launch, which is giving us time to kind of build this in the open to give us ideas and concepts um, on a way forward. And I want to explain that years ago I started something called Blue Ocean Strategy. It's a deep level business structure framework for standing out from the competition. And I built my whole model back in 2017, but was really finalized with the consumer in the center of this Blue Ocean Strategy in 2000 October or in 2019. Originally created it in October 2017. And Blue Ocean is you're doing something completely different. And what I'm creating open access to be is a completely different framework for all of real estate. I mean, it is meant to be completely, it can't look anything close or resemble anything close to what we have now, because what we have now is broken. Regardless of what people say, I honestly, I watched some of what the coaches said today. It is insane what what is happening in this industry right now. A lot of pep talks, a lot of stuff, but they're not helping agents. A lot of agents have the wrong business model. They have a business model that's the same business model that started 113 years ago, that existed in 1995, that existed in 2005, and these coaches, very successful coaches, and I'm sure good people, they're just misguiding, like a lot in this industry, because they won't adapt. They don't know a way to adapt. Blue Ocean Strategy, something like Alex Hormozzi's, right? $100 million offers, make an offer so good that people would feel stupid to say no. That's the kind of that's the kind of thing we're looking for, right? That's kind of the level of disruption, um, the level of disruption we basically are looking for. So I have this chart. I just created this all really quick. There's going to be misspellings. This is nothing final. This is just the draft I have worked on. We started open access. Open access is going to go live March 1st. But when we start thinking about how we're going to layer open access, I've had different concepts, like even systems is this is spelled wrong here. But I had we had different concepts of different ideas through the years, right? And this is kind of start putting them all together using some old URLs that I've had, and we'll walk you through that. Open access is the framework. It is open to everyone, kind of just a kind of a gift to the industry to try to get this industry to adapt and change. I do not expect that the industry is going to just adapt and change. It's going to take 5, 10, 15, 20 years to change this industry. It's very broken, very gate kept, very stuck in the old school ways. However, if we can change 1% of agents to come to an open access type system like this, then um, we can make those agents that much more efficient and effective and pull them out of this kind of old school structure we're stuck in. So I have that first level, always meant to be an open framework for a new way of doing real estate that we're going to develop over the next several months for our go live March 1st. Obviously, that'll be very consumer centric. It will have multiple components. Obviously, AI will be a big part of it. Local agents on the ground with the traditional building trust will definitely be part of it. And then there's a whole kind of the disruptive part with technology and leveraging technology. Then we're going to go to the next level. Right now, we're calling it, these names could change, Rethink Real Estate. I've had the URL rethink.real estate for a while. I used to have it tied to a school community, trying to build that maybe 6 months ago. And it was a free school community, and it just didn't work out as we had that, and we had a company called On Agent, which is our agent accelerator. As AI kicked in and the word agent became synonymous with AI agents, we got a lot of AI people just getting in there and then starting to try to market and sell their stuff, and the community basically kind of died. But I think the Rethink Real Estate is going to be the layer of the academics. It's going to be the layer where we educate both the agents and the consumer, like free education for the agents and the consumer, to educate them on a new way forward for this industry, right? Offering options, offering trust and transparency up front, not coming in with this used car salesman crap that coaches and everybody teach. If you have a product people want to buy, you don't have to go door to door to sell it. We're selling we're telling people to go door knock and cold call and bother friends and family like we're selling vacuums in the 70s or whatever. It is strange. I get that it works for some people, but a majority of people, it's a waste of time and it does not work. It's easier to create a product people actually want to buy. Seems basic to me. People actually want to buy a product and maybe try to sell that. But this industry completely set up different than that. So the Rethink Real Estate layer of this basically pyramid system would be that educational component. I have not thought about that anymore. I'm starting to get into how am I going to do this, how we would present this. Would it be through social media? What kind of platforms? All of that I'll build with you as we go. But then this third level, which is what I just kind of added, it was always a three-level pyramid, and I just added was this trusted advisor network. We are going to create, and part of our on agent, which will support this kind of structure, we're going to create our own advisor certified network. The coaching in this industry, from the managing brokers to the CEOs to the leaders, trainers, the coaches in this industry, they're out of touch with reality with the consumer. Obviously, some of the disruptive companies that have come in, they're more in touch with it. I get that real estate is still a people business, but the level of disconnect between the consumer and the real estate agent in this business is sick. When you look at what even posts, I could go on there one day and just show you these posts where you get agents responding a certain way, and then the consumer is just the exact opposite, and these agents just fight it. They just keep fighting it. They only know what they know. Um, and there's a huge disconnect there. We are going to create a certification program. This would be released a lot later that will help guide us into a more put a framework around coaching to professionals. So these bottom two levels are really more the framework for the movement, and then starting to train and educate the general public on the movement. Now we're getting here where we're going to start educating and training at high levels through deep mastermind cohorts, different level of a certification to train the next level of agent in America, which that open access type framework, right? So this will take a little longer to build. I'll show you a time frame in a little bit, but this will be like late 2026 as we come up with that concept. But I'm starting to put that into my mindset that that's going to be a critical component as well. So you start with the open access to framework, the movement. You allow a framework to have real estate basically operate under this new, never before kind of concept. We educate them with the Rethink Real Estate. Then we put a level of certification on that, which is basically special training so they understand the consumer first way of looking at something and still being able to make money in a living in a much more comfortable environment where you're actually helping people the way they want to be helped, not the way your managing broker or your CEO wants you to help, which is a big difference. Lastly, agents of disruption will be my high level mastermind the high tier folks who grab onto this. We have some of these folks already who want to run with this and think this is the way forward for them in this very challenging industry. Agents of Disruption, I've had that name since I think 2017, 18. I've had it for years, and it was always going to be a name of a book I wrote. And I have 81 pages of that book written. I'll probably finish that, but was that's going to be our top tier level of our mastermind. We'll break out how this is once again going to be into 2026. Don't know what that's going to look like. Don't know if it might probably be based on more partnerships with brokerages, but there obviously would be some form of a fee and coaching and mentorship and live masterminds is probably the best way that'll look. Agent of Disruption masterminds. I have been in a few masterminds and they're phenomenal. It's way better than one-on-one coaching. It's not even close. When you get in a good mastermind with folks, it can really change the way you look at things. So that's kind of what we're looking at. But I got a little bit here that we formalized a little bit through it in Gamma and had it come together here. So what I wanted to talk to you about is in this system, this is a bottom-up framework. So as you saw, we're building it from the bottom and we're going to build it up. And I think that's important because too many things in this industry and honestly, almost every industry and just in life come from the top down instead of building it from the bottom up. We are building it at the bottom, which is literally an open access framework that puts the consumer in the middle of the transaction all the time. This industry is stuck with the agents being in the middle of the transaction up top and forcing down to the consumer, which there's a huge disconnection now. Agents have been doing this for years. Will think I'm nuts. Some of them will probably curse me out in the comments. They're wrong. I just know they're wrong because I live the other side of it. I see and listen to what the consumers want, right? There is a disconnect between the American consumer and the real estate agent. This doesn't mean I'm saying that all agents, they don't want to pay full service. The majority of people will still pay a good agent top dollar to sell a house. But there's also a large section of this industry that those traditional agents just don't even acknowledge that they exist, have been trained and scripted to tell them they can't sell the home for a lower fee or you get what you pay for. If you're a person who's been trained to say you get what you pay for, you're dead wrong. You're dead wrong. That is not all the time 100% true. Sometimes people are overpaying. Oftentimes they're overpaying. Because if we have agents charging the same 2.5%, 3%, and they have no experience, and somebody has 30 years experience, this person here is probably overpaying. Doesn't make any logical sense. This is that top, right? That's top down. We're building it. We want to go up. We're going to build it from the consumer level, from where we're at. It is the year 2025. And when we have to stop operating like it's 1995 for sure. So that's going to be a big part of this. We talked about the open access. Our first level is that public movement. It's the framework that's going to lead everything that we do in the future through here. This is our framework that we're going to move forward with, right? We want information to be free. We want to remove it from the gatekeepers. We do not want agents to feel like they have all the cards, because when they have all the cards and they're not educating the consumer, how does the consumer even know what's the best option? I'm sure there's traditional agents that'll tell me I'm wrong, but honestly, like we need consumers to have a little education or they're going to be hiring the wrong agent all the time. And we also need agents to step up and offer more value for what they're paying for. But that's what the open access framework will do. It's going to provide the consumer with clarity. We will I don't need I'm not trying to change the whole industry. I'm not trying to be Zillow. I'm trying to change maybe 1 in every 100 agents to be an open access advisor where they can envision a different way forward. And just by doing that, They're going to stand out from the competition because everybody in this industry does the exact same thing. 95, 90% of everybody kind of just does the same thing that they've always been told. Um, so that's where we're at. We're going to figure out the way this is going to communicate out. I imagine the open access level will be more of a newsletter, informational stuff, educating on the process with this. Um, and that's where we go from. Then we talked about that Rethink Real Estate, which is the education arm of this kind of system. Once again, still building this out. Don't know if this will be in a Substack or some form of, I'm not sure I'm going to do school, but we're still working through that, right? But here I've got one of these quotes in here. It says, before you can disrupt the industry, you have to rethink how it works. And that is exactly what this is. This is the educational arm to educate both consumers and real estate agents on a new way forward. Open access is the framework. Rethink Real Estate is the educational arm. Yeah, I'm going to skip through some of this. Trusted Advisor Network. This is where we are going to certify. This is going to be late 2026 probably, but this is where we're going to create a certification where we're going to certify agents in the process of being a true trusted advisor. And I mean that's too many people in this industry, and you've heard me say this before, keep using words like freedom, consumer choice, trusted advisor, and it's all misguided. If you're not offering somebody all the options, how can you be a true trusted advisor if you're only selling your that's what a used car salesman does. They only sell the cars on the lot. That's not a trusted advisor. A trusted advisor is going to help somebody, even if it's not in their best interest. Like they're going to give them the best options. We're going to get and train agents who want a different way forward to be a true trusted advisor in every sense of the word. Part of this goes into like a strategy of preeminence, which is a Jay Abraham strategy, where you have to be the only viable option in a marketplace. You need to be seen as so trusted that they're only going to think of you when they want to sell a house or some name comes up. Not because you're sending them out 36 drip campaigns or you're door knocking or cold calling him 12 times a year or sending him a pie or whatever else agents do. They just know you're that trusted advisor because you come across, you're educating them, you're transparent, you're trustworthy, not by saying you're trustworthy, not by saying you're worth it. In this industry, everybody gets trained by coaches, know your worth. What the hell does that mean? If you know your worth and you think you're worth 10% and you've never sold a house, how does that help a consumer and how does that help you? If you're not proving your worth in your results, none of this matters. And that's where we're going to train. And is this for everyone? No, because there's some people probably listening to this who are pissed off right now. This isn't for you. This would be for those people who want a new way forward because there is an easier, simpler way. Is it easy? No. Is it simpler? Probably. But everything's work. But if you're working towards what the consumer wants, instead of trying to force feed them cold calling and door knocking and all this stuff that we do to try to get them to buy from us on a transaction they only do every 10 to 12 years, if that is a little different. So that's where we're talking here. So we have some concepts here about a certification and long-term plans of having people geographically placed around the country. And remember, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to get 100,000 agents. I'm trying to get one or two agents in each market and teach them. That's what this is. This is not a big, I'm not trying to compete with. I'm just trying to solve a problem for the consumer that is there. And they want to change. And if the industry is refusing to help them with that change, then we're not asking for permission anymore. I'm kind of fed up with the old school ways of this industry and the way agents fight back. And it's let's just help consumers. Let's just try to help some of these consumers who want a better option, who don't want to pay 25 to 35% of their annual income just to pay for a real estate commission and think that's the only way, because it's not the only way. That's the only way a lot of agents believe it because that's all they've been taught, but they're not being taught enough by their brokers, period. So that's kind of where we're at there. Then the last one is our agents of disruption. This will be that leadership movement. These will be the leaders who are going, who are in the geographic markets and different markets, leading this kind of way forward to kind of transform real estate, right? From getting people off these portals and off this whole network of whatever we we have going to more informing consumers, giving them the option and being that trustworthy person, not because you say you're trustworthy, because you're actually out there providing value every day. And like I said, the whole concept is different than what it is today. And we'll get more into that detail, and that's part of what training will be moving forward. Um, Sorry, this is really long, but this is just meant to be really a chat, not really a regular post. This is our structured blueprint. Some of this will change. Some of this just got thrown in here. Obviously, this will change to like public awareness, like we talked about. This is the rethink level, educating the community, our certification, and then our elite mindset, our leadership. This is the implementation plan that I at least have for now. We talked about launching the on open access movement over the next 1 to 3 months. We obviously know by March 1st, this will be fully into effect, and we'll start releasing some things as we're going here. Then we're talking about 3 to 6 month time frame, really having a full-blown video series, mini courses, maybe some form of a online academy. Maybe it's just done through social media. We're going to work through that and try to find out the best way to drive engagements through a free online kind of education that really agents haven't really provided before. We're going to go in deeper than ever before and show everybody honestly what all the options are, because they're immense and agents just work in a little spot and they all do the same thing that everyone else seems to tell them. 6 to 12 months, these timeframes can change. We would go ahead and look at building that professional network, like the certifications, and actually starting to train agents in a new way forward, right? Once we have that forward, once we have the training, this has to happen in steps, right? Because it's a new concept in model or movement, whatever you want to call it, that's never existed before in real estate. The components have, but actually going out with a true consumer centric approach, this is going to be different, feel different, look different. We're not chasing and hunting people down. We're having them come to us because our stuff's going to resonate more than anything else. So, and then the last thing is that agents of disruption, 12 to 18 months. I could see this coming out at the end of next year, probably be around the book that I've been wanting to release, and we could probably get some momentum that way. And then we'll talk about like how are we going to gather this? What is going to be the method or the form to get this education out? But basically, that is it, guys. Wanted to kind of just walk you through a bunch of this just as an open conversation. This isn't really meant to be a professional post. I'm trying to build this in the open with you, give you some of the logical steps and um, my mind for doing this. And this is after, honestly, part of this has been created 6, 7 years ago, right? And we've closed over 10,000 transactions this way, and giving people options in the platforms and strategically partnering with the right brokerages have led us to results that are extremely unusual, right? I think our best full service month was we closed 43 full service deals in 1 month, right? We've closed hundreds and hundreds of deals a month now for years. And some of those are limited service in different formats that we'll get into. But those are options that consumers have, and other agents don't provide it. And when people say you're just a discount broker, okay, That's what they think. And yes, do I offer that through some of my partners, they are definitely in that realm. But that's because I need that option. I have to have that option to do that. But I still work with some of the largest investors in the world are still my clients today. We sold hundreds and hundreds of homes. And this concept that you're only working with your friends and your family and can't attract anyone else. This is to keep the brokerages making money. This is not to keep you making money. That's how they get paid. They need a mass amount of agents doing less volume. That's it. They don't need somebody closing 2,000 houses. They don't need somebody closing 100 houses. Usually you'll cap and they don't make any more money. The system is really it's kind of rigged against the consumer and the typical agent, and we're going to change that. Are we going to change it for all agents? Hell no. There's going to be majority of agents will never be able to make a decision to change because they're stuck. This is what agents do. They stay stuck and they follow old outdated legacy coaches, mentors, brokerages, and that's what they do. That's human nature, right? That's why the top 1% usually there's a reason why. You got to be open to change. You can't be afraid to fail. And at this point, a lot of agents are going to be failing anyway because they're following the wrong playbook. They're following the wrong voices, the wrong talking heads. And why not give it a shot? If you love real estate and you want to stay in the game, why not? Give it a shot. Try educate yourself on something different. But anyway, we'll talk to you again. We're going to be hopefully finalizing the built in the open podcast and have some more of that coming soon. I appreciate it. Thanks.